Back to this issue and also take Shamshad's opinion on this. Time now for us to slip into a short break. We'll be right back. Peninsula. In this segment, we'll discuss the role of China, what it means for China, why is it supporting North Korea, and the response so far after John Kerry has said that China must respond strongly against North Korea. Coming back to you, Mr. Khan, as we were, listening to other panelists in the last segment, how are you seeing the situation at this stage, the response so far of North Korea, the response of United States, and the role of China, because China is indeed a very close ally of North Korea, and is this close ally abandoning its close partner now?
First of all, let me tell you that this is North Korea reaction is saber-rattling. It is rhetoric, and it will not lead to an all-out war in the Korean Peninsula. What I expect that till the US forces are there as part of bilateral exercise in that region, North Korea will not take a bold step to attack. But as previous panelists said, I see there are some chance of skirmishes, border skirmishes, once US withdraws. You know, it has happened in 2010. North Korea shelled missiles over Yongbyon, and that has heated up. So one possibility is that there would be some border skirmishes or some confrontation between South and North. Now coming to China, China has been supportive of this regime. It has engaged North Korea. It wants to sustain the dictator regime because of they have common ideology. But at this time,
few weeks, do you also see a reflection of, because they have support from China, though the new leader in China, Xi Jinping, has said that they will not tolerate anything like this if something happens. Also, there's a fear within China that if this national collapse happens, maximum people of North Korea will seek refuge in China.
Before talking about China, I would like to spend a minute on what Dr. Panda said about the sense of insecurity of North Korea. And North Korea has very good reasons to have that sense of insecurity. 1950, the Korean War, the North would have reunified Korea the way the war had gone, but the Americans intervened, and you know all the history that unfolded. 1958, the Americans were the first to introduce nuclear weapons in the Korean Peninsula. They had atomic shells and atomic cannons. Then they were withdrawn only in 1991. Then North Korea has seen what has been done to Iraq. They have observed what has been done to Libya. So they are going to have nuclear weapons. They have very clearly said the difference this side in the rhetoric. And the previous rhetoric was that always they said, okay, we'll come back to six-party talk, we will denuclearize, we will do this, let us do talk. But this time very categorically statements have come from the North that they will not denuclearize, they will not give up nuclear capacity even for billions of dollars. Now, what Secretary of State Kerry is saying, that they should denuclearize, only then they will talk. I think they cannot set the alarm clock back. They will have to talk with a nuclear Korea. Now, how will China react to this? Definitely China is very unhappy about the way things have gone. They are very unhappy about this third nuclear test, and also all this rhetoric, because it gives an opening for America to come back in the region as a strong ally of South Korea and Japan. It has allowed the United States to have anti-missile.
North Korea against South Korea. It's largely about balancing China against in the South Asian region. Next, when we come back, we'll also talk about India and Pakistan, and the way US is now also seeking support of India on this issue. Stay tuned. In this edition of Public Forum, we are discussing the rising tension in the Korean Peninsula. In this particular segment, we'll also assess the role of Japan and the response coming in so far from Pakistan and India, as the US Secretary of State has also said that India should see that what's happening in Northeast Asia. Coming back to you, Ambassador Tayal, how are you seeing the role of India and Pakistan here? Because the report says that Pakistan emerges in North Korea's nuclear threat to United States. So does that give India a reason to be worried?
For us to note first is that the importance of China in influencing global events, in shaping global events is increasing. Everybody is looking at China, they try to control North Korea, and they certainly have leverage over North Korea, which they have not yet exercised, because they can shut off the fuel and North Korea will have to climb down. Second thing, again, if you look at John Kerry's statements, he said, well, China may not have transferred the nuclear technology to North Korea, and there are other sources available, and he specifically mentioned the A.Q. Khan network.
Right.
So that was important for us to note. But in the uranium enrichment technology has definitely been transferred by Pakistan to North Korea. That has been well recorded, well documented in many books. And the missile technology in exchange was transferred by North Korea to Pakistan, and all their Gauri and all these Ghazni missiles are basically North Korean technology. Whether that nexus is still continuing, on that there is no definite information, let me put it this way. At least no hard fact has come to light that lately or in recent years that nexus between North Korea and Pakistan is continuing.
Help to deal with North Korea?
You see, I will mention 3 or 4 quick points. One is the North Korea-Pakistan nuclear nexus. This is an established fact, so there is no question about it. And that is the China factor, if you introduce in this nexus, which should be more worrying for us. That is number 1. Number 2, the issue of unification. I think it will not happen because given the ideological division, and as Inama Sadar Tayal said, the younger generation is not interested because the economic cost will be huge. So the kind of unification is not likely to happen. The third point is the impact of North Korea's nuclear weapon program both on South Korea and Japan, which will be very, very worrying, because there are reports which suggest that South Korea also, there is a possibility that South Korea might also go nuclear, because some recent opinion surveys said almost about 66.7% people they want their country to go nuclear. Same thing I cannot say about Japan, because given the Article 9 of the Constitution, that possibility.
And Japan has also signed an agreement with US that in such a scenario, US will protect Japan.
They have both Japan and South Korea. They have got the protection of the US nuclear umbrella, but within both Japan and South Korea, there is a new kind of thinking, because now in Japan we have a conservative government with Abe Shinzo in the office, and of course the revision of the Article 9 of the Constitution, Japanese Constitution, is not going to be so easy because of the
Public Forum. In this edition of Public Forum, we are discussing how to deal with the core intention. The international community. Coming back to you, Mr. Mazruteyal, as China has said that UN should have a greater intervention and should play a bigger role, do you think that the international community has responded appropriately?
The international community has responded because United Nations Security Council has acted. It has had a series of sanctions, but they have not been effective.
Right.
And the question there is whether China has sincerely implemented some of those sanctions. Now that is a big question mark. Now another point here which needs to be noted is that the main worry is to isolate the nuclearization of North Korea, whereas they could have lived with it.
So through North Korea, US is trying to send a strong message to Iran.
To Iran.
Okay.
That it will have repercussions, so don't go down that route.
Okay. Your comments, sir?
About 20, and I think the projection is by another 2 years, the aim is to exceed even 25. Same also with Japan. So in a situation where there is a conflict in that region, I think the economic impact will be absolutely adverse to us, which will not be to our interest. So far as what India can play, I mean what kind of role India can play, we can only play the role of a mediator and also try to play our given the kind of goodwill that we have both in Japan and South Korea and both the Koreas, I think we, and also the kind of historical experience that we have during the Korean War, that goodwill we can, I think, use it and try to contribute to the extent that it will be helpful to defuse the situation.
Right. So you're saying that India can actually
timed at this point of time when this kind of volatile situation has developed, it was planned much earlier. That means we do have kind of the channel open, the kind of dialogue with North Korea. So I think we can use that.
Okay.
To our,
your comments, Mr. Mishra. What is it that at this stage will make North Korea happy, apart from the negotiations and political concessions? Because the economy in North Korea is going through a tough time. GDP is.
The most important part would be that even if we disagree with North Korean system, even if we feel that North Korean political and economic organization model is not a valid model, people are starving, people are having lots of other basic amenities not available to them. So even if we disagree with them, I think we need to first, actually, especially Americans and South Koreans, mostly Americans I will say, that they should leave North Korea as another country.
Okay.
That's one. Secondly, they should start negotiation from a position of good faith. What happened, the trust level between Americans and North Koreans is so low that any good economic cooperation with North Korea, removing some restrictions, trade restrictions on North Korea.
That the terms of engagement should change
a more
and should be reworked.
basket type approach, actually, involving everything, including denuclearization of North Korea.
Right.
That will probably be, and beginning with a very good trust and actually good
So you think
gesture.
there's a huge trust deficit which is affecting ties between North Korea and South Korea, as well as with the United States also. But final comments on the program, last 5 minutes on the show. I'll start with you, Shamshad. Where are we headed at this stage? We've already seen the kind of threats coming in from North Korea. Are you optimistic things will improve, or things are going from from bad to worse?
There is always a possibility to things to improve. One thing which region has not tried. You see the case of ASEAN, the way it integrated Myanmar. It was untouchable because of military junta, but they continuously engaged, and because of those engagement, there was some moderation from the part of military junta. If the region, East Asia, applies the same yardstick or same method to continuously engage North Korea, I think there would be some change, some perceptible change in the North Korean.
Right. So you're saying you're very optimistic. Confrontation is not an answer. Let's engage. We say this also in the case of Pakistan. We say it in the case of Afghanistan.
No, it has
also
worked with Pakistan.
It has worked with Pakistan, but again, the trust deficit is a huge issue. Your comments, fine.
Like I think the optimism which Shamshad had, actually I also share that same optimism, because there are two things I will indicate. One is that this time North Korea hasn't been very critical to South Korea. So I am expecting some new measures, some conciliatory measures from South Korean side. And if you look at like last few statements from South Korean President Park Geun-hye, Unification Minister Ryu Kil-jae.
And I see the indication from John Kerry's visit to China, in particular, even though he visited all the three countries, because there are also reports that this is a kind of face-saving approach which the US has adopted by visiting Beijing and seeking the cooperation of China. And I think from that, if we see from that, I think point of view, if the US
those statements from North Korea, there has not been any mass mobilization intent to really provoke something. My worry is that some very trigger happy general or some soldier may start something, and that may lead to reaction and counter reaction, and that may become uncontrollable.
So you're saying a slight provocation also can
yes, because
be
now
difficult.
the South Koreans are also very charged, and the President Park Geun-hye has said that there should be immediate reaction and they should not wait for political clearance from Seoul. But I agree with Dr. Pandit that Americans will have to talk to North Koreans, whether directly, indirectly or through China. There is no other way, they have to talk.
Right. So but they might also say they've been talking to Iran, but Iran isn't denuclearizing. So in a way, it is indeed a difficult situation also for US. But let's hope that in days to come, we will see engagement happening and agreements being signed between North Korea and South Korea. Completely out of time. Thank you very much, Ambassador Tayal, Professor Panda, Professor Mishra, also Shamshad, for joining us in this program. It was a pleasure having all of you here. And all we have in this edition of Public Forum. Thank you very much for watching. Namaskar.